We're just really proud of our kids, their effort and their mindset. And for us to go to Houston this weekend and sweep a series was huge. In fact, my team probably doesn't even realize how big it was for us to take 3, because right now, there are 2 games separation between 1 and 8. And it's just every single team in the Southland is competitive week in and week out. So for us to go there, we're just really proud of our kids. They played really hard. And we're in a really good place too. Like, our team mentally is very steady, very mature. So it's fun to think about, hey, we can clean up some things, we can have some better at-bats. So I still don't think we've actually peaked yet. So that's definitely a positive going into the next 3 weeks.
When you look back at that midweek against Northwestern State, where you said you really weren't as sharp as you needed to be, you weren't there, you weren't 100% there. You were physically there, but not mentally as much as you'd like. How much do you you praise your team for kind of bouncing back here and watching their efforts here this weekend? And then how does that kind of set up the momentum for the final 3 series of the season?
I really want to praise our seniors. I think since that Northwestern midweek a couple weeks ago, I feel like they've really taken a lot of accountability. And they're leading from the front. They're setting the tone. They want to win. They want to compete. They don't complain. They work hard. They understand that we've got to play well as a team, and they've just really bought in. So I contribute, our team's mindset and effort week in and week out to just how hard our seniors are playing. Really proud of those ladies, and we are where we are because of them and their leadership.
And then just your pitching staff over the last 2 weekends, and in particular with Sykes and Guffey, they've just been out there, doing really everything that they can to make sure that you guys stay in games. What more can kind of be said about them and their efforts here in the circle?
They have just pitched like seniors. They haven't done too much. They haven't done they've just done exactly what they needed to do every single week. They go out there and they have great composure. They locate their spots and they give us a chance to be in games. And once again, it's just going back to their attitude. Their body language is great. They're coachable. They're competitive, and they've been really good teammates. So I've just been really proud of those 2 seniors. I think that they've done a good job being role models for our underclassmen. I felt like Autumn Anderson and Clarissa Hernandez threw a really good midweek against La Tech. So for Anderson to go out there, she shut them down, looked great, and then Clarissa did the same thing. So to give up 2 runs against La Tech, who's on an 11-game winning streak, I was really proud of my underclassmen pitching. So right now, I think our pitching staff is doing a good job. Just got to keep them in shape, keep them healthy. But right now, the strength of our team is definitely our mindset. Our kids are tough and they're focused and they don't take anything for granted. We're going into Incarnate Word this weekend, and it's going to be a tough place to play. Not a lot of energy in the stadium. Their coaching staff is doing an excellent job in their first year. Hats off to them. Just within 1 year, they've swept Northwestern and almost beat McNeese 2 games. So, for us to go in there, we have to play well in every single aspect. We have to pitch well, we have to hit well, and we have to play clean defense to take that series on the road. So I hope our kids, enjoy the next 2 days off, getting plenty of rest, and, really have their minds right to go in, because it's going to be a fight this weekend.
You touched on that a little bit, but what's your mentality this week? You have the full week to prepare now. There's no kind of midweek I don't want to say break it up, but there's really no dress rehearsal really for a series. So what's your team's mentality kind of headed into really the first kind of full week of preparation to get ready for a big series like this?
We're definitely embracing the 48 hours off. Today we're just doing ice bath treatment, study hall, kind of get ahead in class. Same thing tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to try to go live, kind of simulate the type pitching we're going to see this weekend at UI-Dub, work on some things on defense, because Incarnate Word plays hard, and so our kids really have to go in there thinking every single inning is going to be a fight, and we've got to win every single inning.
What do they do so well in Incarnate Word? More than anything else, is it just like the is it just like the scrappiness and really never give up kind of mindset?
I feel like both of their pitchers have done a good job. They've got a kid who's returning last year. Her name's Liao. She spins the ball, throws really well. She's a good little pitcher. And they've had a freshman step up and throw a big bulk of their innings. So I think their pitching has been keeping them in games. And they've got some power in the middle of their lineup. And these kids, if you miss, they're going to make you pay. So they've got the ability to hit the long ball. And they just don't quit. They play hard. And I really think that ties into the coaching staff, that, they've got, fresh eyes in there, new mindset, same thing. So I think it's going to be a very competitive series. So hopefully our kids are going to be well rested and, focused, and go in there and just play hard and play SFA softball.
Sure. Have you seen your team kind of just embrace things over the past couple of weeks? I mean, you're right, there's a 4-way tie for first place right now. You're right there in the thick of things. And, how big does that kind of make everything over this last 3-week stretch here? And, this is just a team who's never really, I don't want to say done it before, but, at this level, all playing together, this is kind of their first go-around for competing for a title. And, how does that kind of translate into what you've seen over the past week and their mentality and everything like that?
We kind of have like a running theme joke on our team. We always say, stay in your own lane. Like whether you're being a nosy neighbor, eavesdropping, or just the girls being girls, but we always say, hey, stay in your own lane. And that's really our mindset. Like, we are focused on us. We are focused on SFA softball. We talk to our kids, your competition is the person in the mirror. It's you. So as long as you don't beat yourself, and as long as you prepare and you take care of what you need to do, we're not worried about anybody else. So realistically, like, I don't really feel like my kids are checking stats or looking if they're at the top or the bottom. Like, we literally just focus on being the best team that we can be and put our best effort out there every week. And we talk a lot about, if you play the game the right way, the game rewards you. And I think that my kids are really seeing that, because since August, they've come in here and they've been coachable, and they've embraced our philosophies and just what we expect. And, they've pushed the limit. And because of that, like, they're seeing the rewards for their hard work and their effort. So we're just really proud of our group, and just need to stay healthy and positive and keep grinding, because the next 3 weeks every single week we got to go in there and we got to fight, because it will not be over until the last weekend. So for us, like, our advantage is we take nothing for granted and we look past no one.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, anytime that you have 2 freshmen like that who are basically on-the-job training, it puts a lot of stress on people. I think they're kind of, getting accustomed to that role now. I think they've gotten a lot more comfortable with how to pitch at this level, all the intricacies of holding runners and not giving away pitches and those kinds of things. I think they've done a good job of maturing on site, basically. A big part of that is having somebody like Trevor Kaminsky to lean on. That was probably one of the best outings that he's had here. I know there's probably some longer outings as far as innings are concerned, but as far as the impact of when we needed the big outing, man, that was a really big outing for him.
Sure. Just talk about the job that Cody Adams has done too. It kind of you look at his first 2 seasons, and obviously the ERA is going to stand up a little bit, but this year he's just kind of settled into a really good role here, especially over the weekend here, where he comes in and gets a couple double play balls and really shuts them down and just knows what to do. How has he kind of matured here and really found his role here throughout this season?
I think anything, just like with anything, the more opportunities you have, the more you can mature inside that role. We've been fortunate to have some, spots in there where he can go in, pitch, do what he needs to do, get us out of the inning. And to his credit, he's really accepted that role. I don't know that he's happy being just a left-on-left matchup guy with an occasional righty right now, but right now for his role, he's doing a great job. He feels very confident right now, and then that's the main part of pitching, is being confident that your pitchers are going to be able to get guys out. I think he has that confidence going right now, and can't say enough about the job that he did this entire weekend. I mean, he put us in a position to win, basically all 3 games.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you come in here, you come back home, it's just you're 2 games out of that 8 spot here, and you play your next 4 at home here. What was the message to your team there on the bus, on the trip back, really after you kind of, like you said, you hung with, the Southland leaders, and, coulda, woulda, shoulda won maybe 2 out of 3, or maybe even swept the series. So what was kind of the message here kind of headed into this week, a really important week for you guys?
Well, the message is just stay the course. Just keep doing the things that we do. Try to be available when your name's called. That's the main thing, is just making sure that guys are understanding what their role is, being prepared for those roles. I think we've done a better job as a pitching staff or a pitching coach and a staff to put those guys in positions where they can be successful, and to also let those guys know pretty much what their role is going to be when they're going to pitch, so that they can get prepared, those kinds of things. I think we've done a good job of getting those guys prepared in that way. Coach McCary has done a better job of getting those guys in shape, getting those guys' arms in shape. I mean, sometimes with injuries, guys get a little shy and don't want to push those guys, but we've done a good job of pushing those guys to the point where they're usable, like Cody, a couple of times a weekend rather than just once a weekend and hope for the best past that.
Obviously, you and Coach Malone over at Corpus are pretty good friends.
Yes.
You've known each other for quite some time. Does that kind of play a little bit larger with this series when they kind of come in here and just talk about the Islanders here? A hot start there at the beginning of the season, kind of tailed off a little bit and still kind of searching for their identity here, in the middle part of the Southland schedule.
It's always tough to play people that you really care for and really have a good relationship. I know he's going to give everything he's got to beat us three, and I'm going to do the best. But at the end, we're still going to be friends, and we're still going to shake hands, and we're going to go about our business. When you play somebody that you're that close with, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You want to beat them, but at the same time, you want them to be successful as well. But you kind of put that aside this weekend and understand that, man, I hope he wins every other conference game except for these next three. And I think he feels the same way. I think that's just how much we respect one another, is the respect for the competition. It's always fun. There's always a good laugh or two in there. And it's something that I really do treasure, for the weekend. It's a weekend that I look forward to, but it's also a weekend that I'm nervous about. As far as how they started, man, they started out super hot, and I still think they're one of the better teams in our conference. I think they've just gone through a little bit of a spell where they haven't pitched as well as they did earlier. They still have some really good arms. They still have a really good staff over there. They're still going to do a lot of things that are going to make it difficult for us to win. And you can't take into account, how bad somebody has struggled or not struggled coming into a conference series, because with our conference, any weekend can go either way for you.
You take a look at the numbers from last week from an offensive standpoint. I mean, not necessarily in the best hitting week, maybe 224. But did you like the way that your offense was really set you up really and made sure that you were remaining in games, and you're gonna put forth more of an aggressive mentality, or just kind of stay the course here this week?
I liked what we did offensively. I think in the first game we did a really good job of getting runners in motion and those kinds of things, and staying out of double plays and bunting and those kinds of things. And I think we did a good job of that, in the second game. In the third game, I mean, it's hard to do anything when you're not on base. I mean, and you got to give credit to, where credit is due. I thought their pitchers, I thought Sam's pitchers did a really good job of just keeping us off base. I think the guy, Wisniewski, on the last day pitched, lights out. We had a hard time getting any kind of offense going on him. He left a couple of pitches up in the zone. Those were the pitches we capitalized on, and that's what you tell your offense is when it is tough like that, when it is tough sledding, you just got to make the most of your opportunities, and you got to get a pitch that you can handle. And we had two hitters that did that. As a result, we get the win, but you can always say that the pitching staff kept us in that position so that win stood up.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Bizarre weekend there. We originally were going to play indoors. Then we saw that we thought it would warm up enough. It was their senior day, so we didn't want to have to drive 30 miles to an indoor facility to do that for their seniors. So we were trying to cooperate on many different levels there and figure out the best setup, but it just didn't warm up, and it was windy. It was really tough, and but both teams had to play in it. We banged our knee a little bit there in the warm up, just hitting a shot there with Kaya. She tried to play some doubles, but just didn't have the mobility, and then Armel just landed a little bit wrong, coming down on a ball there in the second game of her singles, and she toughed it out, got taped up, and she got 5 games. I mean, it looked like a decent little score there, but she just didn't have the mobility either. Kind of had to take some risks and hit some winners. But overall, we showed a lot of heart, a lot of courage there to battle those elements. You saw people fighting, and we're still invested. We won a good number 1 doubles match and had a chance there at 3 doubles to take that doubles point. And you always say, what if? What if we go into that singles 1 up? But it was It was just a tough day, and so looking up and down the line, UCA is as good a team as there is in our league, and they're still playing for a lot, and we stood out there and went toe to toe with them, and I think we earned their respect and earned the respect of each other and our teammates. So you always want to come out of there with a win, but when you don't win, at least you have to some of those positives and that character stuff that we talked about, and knowing that we laid it all out there and gave it our best. And so I'm proud of that part of it, and I think the girls understood that. So have to roll with it and be glad that we did our best and gave it a great fight. So good to have that happen like that.
Sure. 3 this week. What's your message and what's the kind of the team's approach here? Is it just kind of, let's start at the beginning and see what we can do, to get the momentum we can kind of head into next year and hopefully make this a 3-0 week here?
Yeah, it's a finish the task. We have a philosophy in place, and we've been working on that all year. We went to a day by day mode a little bit earlier in the in the month and back into April, just taking them one at a time. So we'll continue to do that. I think when we get too far out in front or we start being too reflective, that's where it gets us off track. But we've got to continue to learn and grow. We've moved the doubles teams around. We're still exploring. This is a young team. 5 sophomores, 2 freshmen, 1 junior. It's just that probably explains most of our mishaps and just the hiccups that we've had this year, learning how to finish, and that's it. So, we'll reduce the practice load. We'll take them one by one. We wouldn't draw it up this way if we didn't have some of the weather and some of the makeups, but that's a good opportunity for us to, like you said, to take care of business one by one and know that we finished the task. We did our best there to close it out right and get some momentum moving forward. So looking forward to that, and we'll see how it plays out.
Sure. Dorinka and Nita again just kind of stepped up there at the tail end, kind of finishing the job there, and just talk about their play here over the last week and really what they've kind of done well and continue to kind of improve on here as the season goes on.
Sure. They played a great doubles match. They had the right chemistry. They've had good chemistry. It's just been, them understanding how to maximize each other's strengths and use that together on the same day. And then finding the place where we're not too nervous and too tight and want to win too much, but we're loose enough to hit the balls to the right places and put the other team in the defensive. And when we do that, we're real good. They did that yesterday. It's a real good team, and got a good win there in doubles. That probably sparked them knowing that they could play in that win and be sharp enough to win. So I think that probably set them off for their respective singles victories there. But the investment was there from everybody. It's just sometimes the matchup's in your favor and it's not. So they had good matchups. They Dorinka served for the match at 5-4 in the second set there. So she almost was a real impressive clean straight set win. She led for that whole match, but then she did a good job of refocusing in that tiebreaker. And she played a senior. That was her senior day there, so she kind of got to ruin the party there for the UCA girl. But Dada, same thing. She probably led the whole match and felt like she was in command. But the good part of that is we didn't have the blow up. We didn't have the meltdown there when we got behind or we were ahead and we saw that lead evaporate. So we just stayed right in there and expected to win and expected to compete and things go our way and then the win would happen instead of making it happen. I think they both did that really well. So a little bit of growth and maturity on their part and belief that they can do that, and so that was that was good to see there from them, especially in the match there. We're down 5-0 and close out the last 2 and no moral victory there, but that was a good way to end it in that situation. So appreciate their efforts for that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Overall.
Oh, I thought it was a very good meet for us. Friday was a little touchy because of the weather, so we had delays, but it ended up turning out okay, and we started the meet off with some pretty good throws. Maggie O'Cool had a seasonal best, actually a collegiate PR in the hammer, and her confidence level is really at high right now, and that's great. The 200s were exceptional, and the 800, Drake Murphy was unbelievable this weekend, and the men and women's 8s were just really, really good. So those are some highlights. Carrie Gleason is getting better every week and continues to perform at a high level. Our relays did a very, very nice job this weekend. And so we had a really good mix of competitive efforts this weekend in all event areas. Denzel Green here, he is a freshman, jumps over 25 feet for the second straight week, 49 high in the triple. So that sets him up very well for the conference meet. And again, we're just trying to get people healthy, trying to set them up with some good races. The weekend hasn't always been very good to us, but just doing some things really well right now.
Back in action this weekend with another split team format. You're going to send your distance group up to Mountain Stack Relays in Torrance, California. The rest of the team's going to head over to Baylor. Talk a little bit about both those two meets and what they represent for your team.
Well, if you're going out to California, if Coach Breon and Coach Gare are taking you out to California, then the expectation is that you're going to get something accomplished, and it's just not a free trip out there. We're going out there to to compete with a business-like approach, and we expect them to get some good marks, hopefully some good regional marks to get them into the first rounds. And so that's the purpose behind that. And then you go to Baylor, which will be a high-level meet, as all the meets we've had this spring. So again, the weather's going to be a little iffy going into this weekend, but both meets should be extremely competitive, and we're excited about it.
I know you already touched on this a little bit with the first question, but you've had some athletes doing a lot of good things in this outdoor season. Talk about some kids that are maybe building a strong case for themselves to be on that conference team, or just doing a lot of things well right now, or trending upwards.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I look at it from the standpoint of improvement over time, and I look specifically at, for an example, our women's 400 hurdles. Kadrian Sanders, KD, has gotten better every week. Deja Carr has gotten better every week, and so much so that they put themselves in a very good position to compete at the conference championship. And that's not even talking about DJ. So you have three women that could do some big things in that event for us in the conference championship. That's going to be a big point score for us potentially. But again, they have to continue to work hard. They have to continue to be focused on the track with practice and keep trying to get better. And that's what we've been talking about doing each week in and week out, just getting better. The other thing, again, I talk about the pole vaulters. The guy pole vaulters, Antonio hurts his hand, and we got three pole vaulters that are stepping up and doing a pretty solid job for us, and that just does nothing but makes us excited. We found another javelin thrower this weekend. I mean, go figure. Cord Neal goes out and throws over 180 feet, puts him in a nice spot. So I told him this weekend, Coach McCown told him, hey, dude, you just made the meet. You just made the bus for the conference meet. That's the kind of guys that we're looking for. So it's a challenge for everybody because I've challenged our athletes. Nobody gets into the conference meet just by who they are or what they've done in the past. It's where we are right now, and we've got some upperclassmen that are banged up, some upperclassmen that have not performed at a high level. Because of that, usually it's an injury type of deal. And we're going to look at everybody and see who gives us the best chance to win a conference title. And that's a business decision. It's certainly not a personal decision. We love our kids. We love our family, our track and field family, but we have to make decisions for the best of this program.
And with the conference meeting now just about 2 weeks away, what are some primary points of emphasis for your team, both on the practice side and on the competition side?
You know, I watched a great movie last night, Kevin, called Darkest Hour, and it's about Winston Churchill and becoming prime minister during the very worst part of England's history in the outbreak of World War II. And a quote at the end, and I'll just paraphrase, is, you know, it's at the end of the day, it's not about winning, it's not about losing, it's about having the courage. And we need to have courage. And our young men and women need to have courage no matter what happens. They need to have courage in the classroom. They need to have courage when they go out every day to face a really tough world that we live in. And they have to have a lot of courage when they step out on the track and compete. And sometimes we're not, we act nervous, we act, you know, upset, we act like we don't belong there, and we belong there. And we just have to have the courage to shore ourselves up, to pick ourselves up, and move forward. And this is going to be, and I'm going to talk about this as at our team meeting tomorrow night, is 3 weeks from now is going to be an extremely difficult challenge for our team, because not only do we enter final exam week with a conference championship the weekend before, but everybody's got to put things in the right perspective and plan things out well and be really on point as far as what they do, both in the classroom and on the competitive track and in the field and everywhere. So again, the challenge doesn't change. We just have to have more courage now and be a lot more brave, a lot tougher mentally than we've been at any time of the year. And I wouldn't expect it any other way, and I hope they don't either. But we got to get going. We got to go.
All right, I appreciate you taking the time to come in here, Coach. Good luck with everything this weekend.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, I mean, just first of all, it was good to get in, you know, about 82 plays of live work. Obviously, like everybody across the country, you're dealing with some long-term injuries and then, you know, concussions and week-to-week things. But, you know, our young men had spent, you know, 2 or 3 hours doing community service in the morning, and then right after lunch came back. And I was really proud of their effort in both of those phases. You know, a lot of solidarity along with the rest of our athletic department participating in the big event, and then obviously the scrimmage. To that end, with the scrimmage, a lot of situational work coming out, red area. Obviously, we're able to get some third down situations during the scrimmage in the open field portion, did some kicking game. You know, starting offensively, you know, determined to manufacture and commit to you know, a vertical running game. And I thought that, you know, we did some good things as far as getting hats on people, and, you know, several of the running backs made some really nice reads and cuts, and able to get several explosive plays early. Particularly, you know, Dominic had a 82-yard run on the coming out part, but other explosive runs throughout the scrimmage. So it was good to see some growth with the offensive line. Still short a couple of guys there. Thought the running backs ran hard for the most part. One thing that we're not doing that is a little concerning is getting the ball to the backs in the passing game. Our backs typically every year catch anywhere from 50 to 60 balls, and that's something that we've got to look at and you know, make sure that we can get those athletes touches that way. From a passing game standpoint, we did a nice job of catching the football. We had no drops. I think we were combined 21 of 32 throwing the football for just under 200 yards, and we had over 200 yards rushing. So, you know, work in progress, but did see some growth. The thing I was disappointed in, I think we had 4 sacks, and one was for safety in the coming out portion. Excellent job by Terrence Potts on a speed rush. And then, you know, the quarterbacks had, you know, 2 turnovers in the pocket, fumbles. And so we've got to do a better job there at ball security. But, you know, unlike last week where we only had maybe 1 or 2 explosive plays in the scrimmage, I think we had probably a handful this week, so that was very positive.
You touched a little bit on the defense. It sounded like the defensive line had pretty decent time on Saturday. What are some areas on defense where there's still some work to be done?
Well, talk about the positives. Tom Howe's done an excellent job with our defensive line during our tenure here over the last 4 years, and we're pretty short there right now. Of course, graduation of John Franklin, and then Lamont Alexander, an all-conference returning starter, has not practiced at all this spring. We've been limited, with a couple of guys there, but been very pleased with the progress of Paul Hill. Gary Sampson showing flashes of reaching more of his potential. LaRon Cox, Rashad Nichols, a returning starter, redshirt sophomore, just continues to improve and had several tackles for loss. Good job there. Quinn Jones, junior college transfer, has really come in and changed the dynamic. He is very physical, plays with a lot of juice. I think he might have missed one tackle, but had 9 stops, on the day. Proud of our corners. We only have 4 corners going through spring. Those guys have, been there every day and, answered the bell. I think we're growing there. I think where we need some work, and some of that may not be answered this spring because of injuries and recruitment, young men that will be here this summer, but we've got some work to do at the safety position. Trey Ramos, we're holding out of live contact, so we're 1 short there, and then Alize Ward has been suspended for the spring, so as he's trying to take care of his business in the classroom, see if we can get him back. So just by numbers and experience, we're a little short there, but hopefully by the summer we'll have a full complement of athletes to work with, although I have seen some growth out of Trent Gordon, Gavin Rowland, Lawrence Gonza. I mean, those guys are showing up and ringing the bell every day as well. So it was a good work day. I'm glad the weather cleared up. Last week was 40 degrees and windy and rain, and this week it was just a little cool and a little wind, and the sun popped out and made it a very enjoyable day.
You got the final week of spring football this week, and then leading up to the annual purple and white game on Saturday. Talk about some things you'd like to see on both sides of the ball in that game, and the practice week, and then that game.
Yeah. We'll probably get 3 practices in starting tonight, Monday night. We'll get our 11th practice in. We lost one last week. I'm not sure we'll be able to recapture that. Still have, obviously a lot of fundamental work to continue to improve. Ball security, defining route running, finishing blocks, getting off blocks, assignments, just a lot of fundamental work we're going to focus on these next 3 weeks. But we're also going to spend some more time on some situational football, 2-minute work, 4-minute work, and then we're still installing a few schemes off of, some of our base formations that we already have in. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is going to be a lot of work, and then, we'll kind of rally the pieces together and put something on the field for Saturday night in a competitive way that I hope our fans will come out and students, and I know a lot of our families will be in town. It'll be a big day, a junior day, as we look forward to the 2019 class, and then certainly a lot of our signees and their parents will be in. So, and then we've got a movie after the scrimmage, so it'll be a big day on campus in football for our program.
You touched on this a little bit about positions being banged up, guys being banged up and being a little thin. You want to give a quick update on anybody that might be coming back from that list? Might be able to
we hope we get Ladarian Cobb back, one of our outside receivers. Tamarick Pace has been in and out of the lineup the last week or so with a strained knee. We hope to be able to get him back. Shaquille Anderson along the defensive line. Lamont Alexander has not practiced all spring. We're hoping to be able to get a little bit of work out of him. It's a non-surgical issue, but hoping to get him back. But, there's several, quarterbacks that won't go, and a couple of linemen on offense and defense that we're holding out for precaution with concussions. So, but, as I told the team last night, we've got work to do. The show goes on. We keep pressing forward. And whether it be individuals or different groups, we're wanting to see that day-to-day improvement and that growth from week to week. And, we won't have a full complement of team till the summer, and that'll be a really important part of, our growth as we become, the team that we want to be for the fall. And so this is a key week for the guys that can go. And then obviously on Saturday, another game-like situation with our spring game so that, we can continue to measure that growth in game situations.